Still with news around the riots, state-owned insurer Sasria says that claims linked to ongoing violence and looting in parts of the country will be paid out. Now, it's currently the only insurance company in the country that covers properties affected by civil unrest, and those include protest action and rioting. Claims from business torn apart by the ongoing looting is expected to run into the billions. For more on this, I'm joined by Sasria Managing Director Cedric Masondo. Cedric, many thanks for your time this evening. I mean, first of all, there are payouts to these looted and vandalized businesses straightforward. Are they straightforward? Can businesses expect payouts to come by easily after the violence has abated?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Yes, indeed. For us, it's quite straightforward. We've made a decision as Sasria that we regard these losses as Sasria claims. So there's no argument. So all these claims will be paid by Sasria. Of course, you need to have Sasria before we even consider paying your claim.
Right. What do you consider when you are deciding on these particular claims? I mean, you've seen the violence and the rioting that has happened across the country, but surely there is a criteria that you would have to follow.
Yeah, so Sasria was formed in 1979, and there's a legislation, and it's quite clear in the legislation what we need to cover. So it covers riots, whether it's political or even what we call civil commotion, labor strikes and terrorism. So this falls under civil commotion. So and there's no debate. These are the claims that are not covered by normal insurance companies, but they are covered by Sasria.
Right. I'm sure you've started to receive a whole lot of queries, claims starting to trickle in. Is there a ballpark figure of what we're going to see the total claims come into? I mean, there's an estimation by various bodies that these will amount to billions that will need to be paid out in the end.
So what we've received by this afternoon, it's 100 million rand worth of claims. But as you can imagine, this is very small, and this is mainly claims that for incident that happened on Friday, and we're expecting to receive claims. I mean, our estimate at this stage is between 3.5 billion and 7 billion. So that's the total estimate. We hope we can have claims lower than that, but this is the numbers at this stage.
Right now, retailers and mall owners have spoken out to say that hundreds of jobs will be dependent on whether they get the payout or not. Just give us a sense of all the claims that you get. Is there usually 100% of payout, 80%? Just a general feel of how many people will be able to rebuild their businesses and retain jobs once the trouble has ended.
So the claims will be paid, but also it depends on what you bought from Sasria. So we'll pay in terms of the loss limit that you bought from Sasria. So if you have suffered the full loss, we'll pay you in full. So of course we pay claims up to 500 million, and the insured can also buy 1 billion. So the exposure for us per client, it's 1.5 billion. But it depends whether the client did buy the full 1.5 billion cover.
Right, and then finally, very briefly, I mean, these are scenes that many of us have never seen before. As Sasria, is this the first kind of trouble in the country that you've seen? Is it the biggest in the history of the company that you will need to be addressing?
Yeah, so we were born in 1979, and we've seen a lot of incidents like this. But in terms of numbers and the magnitude, this is the biggest.
Very interesting insights there from Sasria Managing Director Cedric Masondo, giving us insight into claims that will need to be paid out to businesses that have been affected across the country from the riots.